So first, the face of poverty in reality looks very different than some people's perception.
Thank you.
Well, let me put a finer point on it.
Thank
they think poverty is black and Latino and Hispanic people in this country. But poverty also includes a lot of white people in America.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So this one is messy but real, right? White people used to think that poverty was just a black issue, like only black folks should struggle, right? But history shows otherwise, right? Welfare programs, food stamps, even free schools, they were all created for white people first, right? Anyways, credit to all the original creators. Let's watch and we'll be back for some commentary.
How many people have noticed that just about every democratic policy that white conservatives despise, they benefit most from? For example, white conservatives claim they despise federal government overreach. Well, 8 of the top 10 states that take federal tax dollars are conservative states. They'll tell you welfare is socialism and we need to end welfare. Well, white people have benefited more from welfare than any other demographic while excluding black Americans. They'll tell you gun laws don't work because they don't keep us safe. Well, 16 of the top 17 states in gun death rates are conservative states who have almost no firearm legislation. They'll tell you government does not help when making healthcare affordable. Well, while 13 of the top 14 states in death rates by diabetes are conservative states, 193 Republicans voted against lowering the cost of insulin. They'll tell you they despise affirmative action. Well, affirmative action has benefited white women more than any other demographic. Studies show white conservatives don't hate these benefits, they just don't want black people to have access to them. Because when you've had privilege your whole life, equality feels like oppression.
Finally, you get to see the true America. The stipulation has always been that black people are lazy, that black people are on welfare. Well, guess what? A lot of poor white people in the red states are now crying that they're not getting the EBT money from the EBT cards. Why? Because they are on welfare. They have 7 and 8 kids. Now the truth is coming out since Trump has slashed funding for the EBT and the SNAP programs. You see how many white people now are on welfare. So all this mythical stuff about black people being on welfare, oh, it's the blacks, it's the blacks, it's the blacks. Now you're seeing the real America, that it's not only black people on welfare, that there are a lot of white people on welfare also. There are a lot of white people, a lot of poor people living in those red states, and those red states that voted for Trump are now getting hit hard.
So I posted about white folks on food stamps, and one thing I kept seeing was that welfare was created for white people. I knew that it was created during the New Deal, so I did some more research because I didn't really know the whole story, and I thank you guys for responding and helping me learn stuff. So during the Great Depression is when we saw the beginning of things like Social Security, unemployment insurance. But here's the kicker. When Franklin Roosevelt built those programs, he had to make deals with Southern Democrats in Congress, the same folks who were big fans of Jim Crow, to get the support of these racist white Southern politicians. The programs were designed to exclude farm workers, domestic workers, jobs held overwhelmingly by black, Latino, and indigenous people. So right from the start, black and brown families were pushed out of benefits so that white people could get them. Then we move forward to the 1960s, and there's this war on poverty. It finally opened up welfare programs more broadly, and that's when food stamps became permanent. Well, permanent, we don't know what Trump's going to do to them, but they lasted a long time. And guess what? The minute more black and brown families started accessing this help, the politics shifted. Welfare got a new image and a new target. By the 1980s and 90s, with Ronald Reagan and his gang, they pushed the welfare queen myth. That's a racist dog whistle meant to turn public opinion against safety nets by blaming black women for poverty that white policies created. That's the truth, you guys. So yes, welfare was built for white people, and when others finally got in the door, they tried to burn the house down. If you want to blame the right people, you got to get curious.
Government assistance was made for white people. The fact that the programs are made in like 1935, like in the 1930s, says it all right there, given the fact that black people were not even considered people under the law at that time. But I've really been doing some more research and reading, and I read an article and they were talking about how like up until like the 60s or 70s, black people really could not qualify for government assistance. And that is absolutely disheartening, being that now it hasn't even been 100 years later that black people are now the face of all racial stereotypes regarding government assistance in Section 8. Meanwhile, these same programs were never even made for us. Meanwhile, black people had to jump through hoops to get qualified. Meanwhile, people talk about black fathers not being in the home, and these same government institutions were not wanting the men to be there. Like, what the fuck?
In America, there is a misconception about who is on welfare. Now, let me just say this. There is no one program in the United States that constitutes welfare. There are many social programs in the United States that are part of what the United States calls the social safety net, which is really not much of a safety net at all when you consider the meager benefits that people receive. So, what I've decided to do is look quickly at the statistics from the last census. Now, this holds true going back, but actually in the last 20 years, it has increased. The number of people receiving public benefits of some sort or another has increased amongst one particular demographic, and that is amongst white people. 20 years ago, 61% of all the people receiving public benefits of some kind in the United States were white people. Today, or as of 2022, or as the last census, 76.2% of all the people receiving some form of public benefit were white people. And the rest were people of color, 13%, people of Asian extraction, 6%, give or take, and people of Hispanic, somewhere down in the middle there. So let's just talk about what constitutes public benefits. So I'm going to read this list here, and this is what makes up all of welfare, if you will, in the United States. Medicaid, SNAP, WIC, free or reduced price school meals, SSI, TAANF, energy aid, rental subsidies, unemployment compensation, and assorted other programs. So 40 million people in the United States live in poverty, and that number approximately is the number of people who receive public benefits of some kind. And of course that varies when you include Social Security recipients, Medicare, etc., which is not it's an earned benefit. So I'm going to eliminate that for the moment. So of those people, the number of people receiving public benefits, welfare, if you will, some form of social program, social safety net support, as I said, 76.2% are whites. So I think this is important to remember when people start talking out of their ass.
One more thing for all of you that keep saying, I have to work, I can't afford to do a general strike while fascism is here. I want you to think about something for a second, okay? John Lewis just wanted the right to vote and was beaten and almost lost his life for just wanting to vote. Martin Luther King was put in solitary confinement. He's no longer here because white people didn't want him to have equality. Colin Kaepernick lost his job just for wanting equality. So next time you tell me that you can't afford to stop working and fight fascism, why don't you think about them? And yes, I am angry and pissed off because I'm tired of people being lazy shits in this country. You want somebody to fix it for you. You have not been challenged at all in white America. Not one goddamn bit. Black people have fought and been treated like absolute shit since the inception of this country. Native Americans treated like shit. Hawaiians treated like shit. But God forbid I ask you to do a general strike and fix this country. Now you think about that when fascism's here and democracy's gone. how you weren't even ready and willing to do the very smallest little bit of discomfort. Which is why we're here. Because white people didn't want to be uncomfortable. And they said, oh, it's the black people's problem. And we sat on our asses in our fucking white privilege and didn't do a goddamn thing. And even right fucking now, you're doing the same bullshit. Oh, it's not my dad in a concentration camp. Oh, it's not my mom in a concentration camp. Oh, it's not my daughter being snatched up off the streets. I have a mortgage to pay. I got a mortgage to pay. I can't afford to. We're doing the same thing that we've done since the beginning of this country. Looking out for number one and screw everybody else. And you just remember that quote that I said earlier today. They came for the socialists, but I wasn't a socialist, so I didn't do anything. They came for the union workers, and I wasn't a union worker, so I didn't do anything. They came for the Jews, but I wasn't a Jew, and I didn't do anything. And then they came for me, and there was nobody left. But hey, I hope you can pay your mortgage.
So when those programs started, it wasn't about helping us. It was about lifting them, right? Same with housing loans, education, all those government benefits, they were designed for white families, right? And when black people tried to access them, suddenly those programs got stricter, they got more expensive and less accessible. But here's the kicker, right? White people still benefit from welfare the most, even now. And yet the stereotype is that only black folks are lazy or dependent, right? Meanwhile, a lot of white families quietly depend on the same safety nets. And this is why that American dream talk feels so fake, right? Poverty does not discriminate. And white people are waking up to that reality now because the safety nets that they thought were theirs alone, those aren't saving them anymore. So let me ask you, do you think that this realization will change anything? Or do you think that people will keep pushing the same myths about black poverty while ignoring the bigger picture? Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. I really want to know what you think. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also, this is for commentary and educational purposes only. Credit to the original creators, and as usual, I'll see you on my next one.